Hey, folks, my guest today is Patrick Sherwin. He's helped innovate off grid independent solar solutions for cooking, cooling, phone charging, lighting, and now is developing products for water purification and shelter. All of the GoSun products are environmentally friendly and ideal for recreation, off grid power outages, disaster relief, which would be useful right now down in Louisiana, and developing countries that have minimal power infrastructure. Patrick, you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do this, Nathan.
You last came on pre-COVID, and I remember being really impressed because I'm summarizing here, so correct me if any of this is wrong, but you said your first product was Go Sun Sport back in like 2017. You seeded that with like 1K, raised 213 grand on Kickstarter, took 8 months to deliver it. But since then, you've been 9 product launches, over 50,000 customers that have purchased at least one of your SKUs. I think you did in 2020 about 4 million of top line revenue and grew a massive email list. Is that all correct?
You're nailing it.
That's amazing. Okay, so what's happened since then? Update us over the past 18 months. Any new products?
Oh, yeah, plenty of new products and plenty of growth. I think you mentioned briefly, we launched a water sanitation and purification system. Basically, in response to COVID, we accelerated the development of something that we knew would be really helpful for people that are seeking more times away from home, outdoors. We're all feeling pretty trapped at home. That product is basically a kitchen sink in your backpack. It can also turn into like a camping water purification system as well as a shower. So stay out longer, feel clean. We work on a coffee brewing system. So we came up with an all-in-one travel mug, French press, and heater. So you basically can make coffee anywhere, anytime, as long as you have a 12-volt port. We're now also working on a bunch of power, kind of mobile solar generator systems. Ultimately, just fueling people's outdoor lives where kind of recreation and preparation kind of coincide.
Let's talk about that filter plus sink plus shower. You won in last year. Well, this year, the CES Innovation Awards. It's billed right now on your website at $223. Help describe a little bit more. Why did you win that award from CES? What makes the product so unique?
Yeah, I think what we ultimately do well is we combine existing technologies into a new ecosystem, so to speak. I took a USB powered pump that I found from an aquaponics system in a classroom, just this tiny little water pump. And then I combine that with a 3-stage water filter, which is similar to like the Life Straw, where you can drink straight out of a stream. And so instead of hanging out next to a stream, like if you've ever gone backpacking, you have to make your own water, or you're pumping it or you're squeezing it through a bottle. This little USB powered pump does the job of pushing the water through the filter. And then we use that same pump to run a little faucet. And the faucet has a little switch on it that then activates the power bank that comes with it. It can be run directly on solar, of course, because we're GoSun. Mm-hmm. And that whole ecosystem come together has never been seen before. And then it just happens that it turns into a really wonderful shower. And what's cool here is you're talking water conservation. So when you are off grid, you don't have to haul around huge amounts of water, whether that's in your van or your vehicle, your RV, or if you're just, like I said, backpacking. It sips on water. It uses 1/10 the water consumption of a typical faucet. So it's kind of like the LED of water consumption.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm curious, people are always tinkering around with the right filters to use here. You say specifically that this filters out, I believe, 99.9% of sort of things that can be, harmful to pathogens and things of that nature, harmful to humans. You chose to go with, I think, a polycarbonate filter plus nano alumina and polypropylene. I'm saying all those things like I know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just reading off your website, but why are those the right materials?
Well, it's there's a million directions to go here, and keep in mind this is fresh water, not desalination. And ultimately, it's able to maintain a low head pressure, so we can still push the water at a fairly quick rate using that tiny pump. And then it's long lasting and doesn't require any maintenance. So like the Life Straws, which are beautiful ceramic filters, they require a back flush after just about every use. The back flush is really challenging. Most people don't do it. It requires distilled water, and therefore the pump or the filters get clogged pretty quickly. And ours, we're not designing people to have to maintain after its usable life, which is about 1,000 liters. You just replace that filter element. And it has 3 stages. Like I said, it filters. It also has an activated charcoal filter, so you can reduce any kind of flavor issues in the water.
Patrick, there's a lot of people listening right now that are software people that tinker around with physical products in their free time, but it's just tinkering. They never really systematize, operationalize, find a manufacturing plant, sell a couple of units, etc. Walk me through how you do that. I mean, how did you go from camping guy that wants like clean water out of the stream, under 5 pounds, 1,000 liter life, to actually manufacturing this thing and being able to list it for $223 on your website?
That's a great question. I use a lot of spreadsheets. We do a lot of evaluation. We have a bit of a formulaic process for product development and launch. And then we have a lot of great partners in Asia. We found someone making something very similar in Taiwan. We found another similar manufacturing product in China. We kind of partnered together when we would basically just ask them to refine those products to meet our more stringent specification. And then, we have an assembly facility in China as well, where we have all these parts and pieces come together, where we put together. We have, like you mentioned earlier, we have 10 solid, unique SKUs that we assemble ourselves and manufacture more or less ourselves in China. So we're up to speed to be able to deliver.
And so, what are your COGS specifically on this $223 product, FlowHub? FlowPro?
Like off the top of my head, it's going to be somewhere around $80. And so we try to push for gross margins that are over 50%, somewhere around 60 on something like this.
Mm-hmm. Is that how you figure out pricing? You always just look at your costs and then market, you want to then optimize top line for 50 to 60% margin?
Yeah. I mean, whenever we go into the 50 gross margin realm and below, we need super high volume, and we're not a high volume manufacturer, even though, we look pretty big and we do move 1,000 units. We have containers on the oceans every day. We just aren't the Coleman or the Yeti of volume. And so we have to keep our margins high.
Mm-hmm. Who do you use to track like your freight? Do you use any like freight forwarding or shipping planning tools?
We've tried, and we've kind of struck out with a lot of like 3PL logistics partners. We basically have resolved to using people that we've used a bunch in the past who they often don't have the perfect transparency of where something is. But at the end of the day, they get it to us at a pretty good rate.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned in 2020, I believe that you passed over 50,000 unique customers. What will you pass at the end of this year?
I think it's going to be over 100K. We delivered in the last year and a half. We delivered a small product. In fact, I've got one here that's a set of portable utensils. Basically, you can instead of throwing away plastic every time you eat a carry-out meal, these will fit in your wallet. And
is it bendable? Is it like tin foil or is it sturdy?
It's made out of stainless steel.
Okay, so it's pretty. It looks pretty sturdy.
Yeah, you can cut. In fact, the spoon has like a little serrated edge. So one of my designers was tired of throwing out plastic. We hate plastic, so
will that make it through airport security?
It does, and they actually love to look at it too. They're like, "What is that?"
Yeah, I bet they look at it.
We shipped 40,000 of these. So that was like a whole new, and the main reason we did this was to try to get more, younger customers, and more of that, loss leader type of customer, get a higher volume of customers that will then hopefully see our whole ecosystem, and this being our entry or gateway into the GoSun experience.
That's really interesting. So you charge $15 for this. Do you still have 50 to 60% gross margins on this?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Actually, they might be more like $70, because something like this, like we have such a volume on something like this, tiny amount of plastic, amazing little. These are like $4, and we charge like 15. So that's a healthy gross margin.
And then walk me through the consumer experience. Okay. So they find it. I want to talk about how you sold 40,000 if you use Facebook ads or how you did that. But once they find you, how do you upsell them on more expensive items or more of your product catalog?
Yeah, I mean, we'll use email for the bulk of our upsales. We're starting to use more SMS as well, to kind of introduce people into our sales and today's deals. And today's deals page is constantly curated with bundles and different arguments that we have in the fuel-free frontier. We've definitely used a lot of Facebook and Instagram ads over the years.
How much? Like how much last month on ads?
I know that, like in general, in 2020, we doubled down because of the pandemic. We saw the opportunity that our technology fit really well in outdoor rec and resilience. We spent around 300K in 2020, and it generated about 1 million in revenue. So we get about a little over three return on ad spend.
Yep.
And now I think we're still pushing pretty heavily, probably something around 75K a month for, about 200K in revenue.
And so what do you think you'll finish this year with in terms of total revenue?
It'll be over 5 million. So, the pandemic wasn't just a blip in the radar for us. It was taking on a whole new diet of business, a whole new scale.
So 5 million in revenue, up from 4 million a year ago, 50,000 customers, up to 100,000, mainly because of those metal utensils. You're now working on, driving and expanding them. Community is a real moat. Would you ever launch or do you already have one that I don't see on the website, like a community for backpackers, hikers, people that like these sorts of products?
We do have a Facebook community. It's called the Facebook Community Kitchen, facebook.com/groups/GoSun. There's like 8,000 users in there that post on a regular basis how they're using our technology. We're trying to get more people to use other technologies of ours, like our coolers and our utensils, and talk more about them, what they like about them, how do they use them, how do they hack how do they add different things together to come up with better use cases.
Yeah, here's a good one posted 23 hours ago from Adina Travis Floyd. She's grateful for our GoSun in Louisiana after the pass of Hurricane Ida. We'll be without power for a couple of weeks, according to our energy provider. While we're in cleanup phase, tired and weary, we'll be having hot cooked meals thanks to our GoSun Sport and our GoSun Fusion. And then she showed a picture of her crawfish boat and wrapped in bacon in your oven there. So this is working nicely.
That's what makes all this worth it. And, I think that's the biggest thing that's changed since we talked last is, I've always been pretty big into resilience. As you marked me, I'm a camping outdoor guy, and I love to have my wherewithals when I'm out and about. Turns out that the pandemic really drove that into everyone's psyche. You want to be able to be outside and be comfortable, to have your services, and we want to move away from propane and fire and ice. And so GoSun really provides a new way of doing this, but in fact is more convenient and better performing than the alternative.
Mm-hmm. How many total SKUs do you have? I mean, I'm scrolling on the page right now, like including obviously your hat and your backpack, the collapsible sink that sold out. I mean, you probably have like 30, 40, 50 SKUs?
Yeah, I think like core SKUs, it's about 20 that are like unique to us. And then we just combine and make bundles out of them. And if, we don't really count the little accessories in that number.
What's your team? Do you still have about 10 people?
We're up to about 15 now.
15. Okay.
We've had to hire another engineer. We've got a sourcing professional now. We just, and we have an even bigger backlog development. So we have more and more products that we want to get into the cycle. And that's kind of the bottleneck.
Patrick, my big question for you is a lot of software companies struggle with distribution. I imagine there are some types of software that folks like you really love to use. Just look at your favorite apps on your phone. Have you ever looked at partnering? I mean, using your 250,000 person email list, partnering with software apps to drive more revenue and sort of more lock in your community into your community?
Yeah, we've done a little bit, but I'd love to do more. And I would love to hear more of the suggestions from your community. I'm a big believer in software as a driver. I mean, I think I mentioned last time we were on, Figma has been super helpful for graphic layout. Shopify, of course, for just general web sales. We do have some plugins for like communications, the Attentive. We use something called Shipping Easy to help our customers make sure they're in tune with their orders. But I'd love to do more, and I'd love to do more on all this amazing, relevant social media, to get more engagement with consumers.
Well, what are your favorite like consumer apps? Like, is there like a hiking trail app, or like, the best way to position your thing, the direction of the sun, or like, do you use any apps like that?
let me look at my phone and see what I'm using often. Obviously, weather. I love Clubhouse. I've been starting to listen in to a lot of stuff there. That's not that much related to your question. Just looking through here, outdoorsy, Airbnb, get you out and about.
I just wonder what would happen, Patrick, if you emailed your full list with just a very simple question, which is, what are your favorite software apps for camping? And see what people say. Because I bet you there's going to be like a core 5 to 10. And I bet you could go out and either build a clone of one of those and then sell it to your community, or go buy the thing, that actual thing yourself and bring it in-house, where margins could be, 70, 80, 90% and keep fueling your business. That's what I get excited about. But I'm biased, though. It's not a good call. It's just I'm biased to software. So
hey, you guys are leading the world now, the millennial, if you will. And you've got me convinced that the app life and the interconnect with tech and kind of the in crowd, who knows, like people know what's good and they share that. And if you're aware and connected, you'll be given the good beta on the best place to go camp. So I'm all about it. Something I'll definitely look into.
We'll see what happens. In the meantime, though, let's wrap up with the famous 5, Patrick. Number 1, favorite book.
Oh gosh, Crossing the Chasm. It's still one of my favorite books.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I continue to like Elon Musk these days. He's hot shit.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the business?
I'd say Figma.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep?
I try to get 7 to 8.
That's good. And situation, what, you're still one kid and 43?
Wonderful girlfriend. Yep.
1 kid, 43, not married, but wonderful girlfriend. Last question. What do you wish you knew when you were 20?
I wish taking action was more important rather than, watching the action. So invest, write about it, buy it and try it and burn it up. But action is really where genius lies.
Guys, he really grew during COVID, selling $15 little flatware kits that cost him $4 to make. He shipped over 40,000 of them, metal utensils, over the past 16 to 18 months. They did about $4 million in revenue last year, past 50,000 customers. This year will break $5 million in revenue, over 100,000 customers, mainly selling physical products with really interesting margin profiles, 60, 70%, but a massive community, 8,000 in the Facebook group, 250,000 on his email list. If I was a betting man, I'd say Patrick's going to build a very successful software company inside of this community one day. Patrick, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan. It's a pleasure.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.